Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Capricorn Radio. Greetings to everybody around the world at this time of year. I got an interesting show today. I've been quite excited about this one for a few weeks now. We're going to be talking to Diana Cooper. And just before I tell you about Diana, don't forget you can go and check out the archives at jamesswagger.com, or you can go to the dedicated radio page, capricornradio.com. Follow the links there. We're going to have a new web page in the new year, but the same links will apply, capricornradio.com. And we're going to have new live players for the shows, but the links are all the same. You can check out the YouTube channels and the Facebook groups and all the social links as normal. Okay, so let me tell you about Diana Cooper. She is a world-renowned lecturer, healer, and best-selling author of many books, meditation CDs, and sets of cards, including True Angel Stories, The Ascension Cards, The Keys to the Universe with Cassie Crosswell. She's the founder of the Diana Cooper School, a non-profit organization that offers certified spiritual teaching courses throughout the world. You can also check out Diana at her website, dianacooper.com. That's pretty easy, dianacooper.com. And today we're going to talk a bit about Diana's career, but we're also going to talk about her latest book, Birthing a New Civilization, Transition to the New Golden Age in 2032. And I'm excited about this because I'm very intrigued at what's going to happen in the next 20 years. I'm in my mid-30s, as most of my listeners will know, and we've just come through an amazing 20 years, really, in terms of knowledge, insight, world politics, changing times nearly on a daily basis. And even in terms of alternative history, my genre that I like to research and write about, I've just watched the world get involved in history when it's now fashionable to be involved in history. But without further ado, let's bring on our guest for today. Hi, Diana. Welcome to Capricorn Radio.
Hi, it's great to be here. And to hear that you're in your mid-30s.
Yeah, I'm only a baby, apparently.
And that the world has moved on so much in the last 20 years. In fact, it's 25 years since the harmonic convergence. Wow. And that was the 25-year purification period before 2012. Mm-hmm. And it has made a huge difference to the world. And the last year has also made a massive difference since 2012 started. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And this is the thing, Diana, we really are in changing times and everything's evolving so quick. And, I think people were waiting for this big magical kind of super event on 2012. And, I think it's a bit more subtle. Not necessarily subtle, but I think it's a bit different to what we were.
I never expected anything physical to happen. In fact, it's probably been much more dramatic than I expected, but it was a hugely significant, etheric time with spiritual happenings, because 2012 itself, the cosmic moment, that was a moment when source energy touched the heart centers of every single sentient being on this planet, in this universe, throughout all 12 universes. So it was an awesome opportunity that was offered. It was only for a fraction of a second, but it opened people up to higher possibilities. And just before that, the unicorns had come in and touched everybody's crown centers, opening them up to be available to the transcendent energies of the higher chakras. So enormous things happened as a result of that, because, as I'm sure you all know, the 12 fifth dimensional chakras of the planet all opened at that moment. So the Kundalini started to rise. And again, this started something in motion that was tremendous. The 20-year process of the chakras opening and connecting to the stars so that the stellar wisdom could come into those places and the people on the planet. It also allowed for the great pyramid in Hollow Earth, which is the seventh dimensional chakra in the center of the planet, to be opened up. And as the Kundalini rose, that pyramid was connected to all the centers of every star system, every galaxy, every planet in this universe. And they all swiveled towards Hollow Earth and started to exchange wisdom and love. And this process for every single one of them to exchange love and wisdom will take 20 years. And when it ends in 2032, the whole of this planet, or or the whole universe will instantly move into the fifth dimension.
Wow. This is wonderful, Deanna. I love your work, by the way, and well, last time we spoke, I told you that, but for the listeners, the first book I come across was Discover Atlantis, and I told you psychic nearby had introduced me to your work. And you know what was different for me, Diana? And I do want to get a little bit about your background too, but I mean, what was different for me was I'm an engineer. I'm looking at Atlantis from a lost civilization perspective. I'm looking for mysteries. I'm looking for history. The stereotypical male brain looking at timelines and histories, and not necessarily dogmatic because I'm pretty open to a lot of things. But the thing was, I've always been looking at Atlantis in terms of a physical thing. And I'm not really, what was good about your book, and I think you co-authored it with Sharon Hutton, but I think the beautiful thing was, that I got this different perspective, this more an intuitive perspective, more channeling
Well, Discover Atlantis is about the golden age, the golden era of Atlantis. Now, Atlantis itself lasted for 260,000 years, which is an entire cosmic era. And of that period, only 1,500 years was the golden age. So a very, very short period. And there were 5 experiments, and each time the experiment failed, usually because those who set it up, the Intergalactic Council, gave the people on Earth too much. And when they had too much, they just trashed it. And the final experiment only turned into the golden age when they were given nothing. The only way they could succeed was to cooperate, to work together for the highest good. And that's what spawned the golden era. And it's a lesson for all of us. And then when they reached the pinnacle, they decided, one magi decided he wanted personal power. And at that instant, everything started to devolve. And the higher energies that were there, the unicorns and all the higher archangels and great beings of light, they had to withdraw. And then we devolved for 10,000 years until now, once again, we are starting to move. The experiment of Atlantis ended at the cosmic moment last year. We now have this 20-year period of transition, of house move, when all the things are changing on the planet. And then we move into a new golden era where we bring back all the wisdom, psychic and spiritual energies of Atlantis, all the powers and gifts that we had, but we take them to a level higher, because the new golden age, which is the 6th golden age on this planet, will come in, bringing with it crystalline bodies for people. Instead of having the old carbon-based bodies, which are based on duality and have to be fed by duality, we will move beyond that into crystalline bodies, and this is already starting. And then we will be able to connect more easily with the crystals, the power of the crystals, as well as use all our gifts and talents again. So we are heading for amazing times.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel, and I'm so confident that, look what's going on in the world right now with wars and politics, and it's an ugly scene, but maybe it's a necessary transition we're going to go through.
So, if you take the analogy of a house move, we are moving from a house that has 7 floors, the 7 chakras, to a house which has, it's like a skyscraper that has 12 floors, and these are 5th dimensional chakras. And so we have to have very, very strong foundations. So we have the Earth Star chakra in the charge of Archangel Sandalphon below our feet, and that is grounding our energy deep into Lady Gaia. And we have to go through all the drawers in our house, all the cupboards. We have to clear out the old so that the new can come in at a higher frequency. This, of course, is why we're having all this economic disruption, all the people who've been corrupt. It's all starting to come to the surface. Politicians who've been corrupt, it's all being revealed in the press. So that people are going to start demanding change. The people power is coming in to shift everything.
Well, it's partly what I do on the show too. I mean, I do a lot of ancient history, spirituality and stuff, but I do some geopolitics too, Diana, and I need to do that because I want people to see what's going on in the world from a clearer perspective and a more realistic perspective and a truthful perspective. I just guess before we go any further, Diana, you're talking frequencies and energy and spirituality. Was this always like this for you, Diana? Give us a brief background about yourself. I'm sure you're tired telling this on many shows, Diana, but I'm intrigued. I really am intrigued as to every person who comes on this show, but as are the listeners. So give us a little background about when this became into effect for you. When did you always want to be an author? I've got so much.
Absolutely no. No, I was getting divorced. I was 42. I came from a very third dimensional background, and I had no spiritual understanding, no psychic understanding, absolutely no religious background whatsoever. But when I was at rock bottom and I could not see a future, I sat in a chair and I said, if there's anything out there, show me, and you've got 1 hour. And an angel came in, a golden being of light, and took me on a journey, and took me all sorts of places, but the most important for me was we flew over this hall full of people, and they all had rainbow auras, which told me that they were spiritual and evolved. And I said to the angel, am I down there in the audience? And the angel said, no, you're on the platform. You're to be a spiritual teacher. When I came back, it was exactly an hour later. I knew nothing, but I knew that this was something very profound and amazing. I had nobody I could talk to about anything like that at all, but I started to seek and search. A book on spiritual healing fell off the shelf in the library, and I started to train to be a healer and a hypnotherapist, and I set up in practice. And I was aware of angels around with my clients, but I didn't communicate or connect with them. And then 10 years after the first visit, I was lying in the bath asking for some guidance in my classes, and the angels came back. And this time they said, we want you to tell people about angels. And I said, no way. I don't want to do that, thanks. People think I'm crazy already. And they said, who is doing your work? Is it your ego or your higher self? And I said, okay. And I got out of the bath and put a towel around myself, and 3 angels stood in front of me and gave me all sorts of information about the angels and why they're all coming in now and how we all have guardian angels. And that became my first angel book.
Mm-hmm. Wow. In my early 20s, Diana, if somebody had said to me, you're going on this engineering career, this physics and all this, and you're going to be doing shows on spirituality, you're going to have your own radio show, I'd have laughed in their face, Diana. I would have laughed in their face and went, you're an idiot. But I was the idiot, Diana, and I really was. I was trying to pursue this academic, and I'm going to bring in matriarchal and patriarchal cultures and stuff, but I was exploring this kind of this left brain perspective, this world is created for us, all very logical, and that's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but there is also the other right brain world, and in a way, science and physics and engineering, it's the dogmatic world. It's the world we're in. We're in this technology world, but there are other, universes, there are other perspectives, there are other worlds out there, we're creating this world in a way, and that's what I've come to realize, Diana.
Yes. And we live within worlds within worlds.
Exactly.
At the same time, we can now connect more easily into the other dimensions and other frequencies.
It's like we have fabricated this, 20th century, 21st century, I should say now. These skyscrapers and telescopes and, all big giant supermarkets or everything on the shelf, if you're in the Western world, that is. But, everything's on the shelf, and we buy all these technological gadgets, and we've got our flat screen TVs and all, and it's like, it's such a material-based world we're building, and, I'm so much against that now. I turned my TV off a year ago today, this time last year, and I started a radio show, and I'm so proud of it. I've never watched TV in a year.
It's done amazing, yeah.
You know, and it's like, I just realize, you know, this is just the whole, even the media that's on television and TV news, it's just all fabricated. Like, you know, it's
Mm.
like people aren't stupid, Diana. You know, people can see things. But if you want to get into conditioning, you know, and people will feed into conditioning and they'll switch their brains off in a way, you know. It's like, it's all frequencies to me, Diana. You know, you got to tune into the right frequency and you can raise your vibration. Is that the way you see it? Like raising many levels of vibration?
I see it as raising our frequency, and as we do so, of course, we're more in touch with beings who live in higher frequencies. I also see this as the ending of the old paradigm. And so all this big business and industry is now dinosaur. It's part of the old paradigm of greed and corruption and everyone out to control and look after themselves. The paradigm coming in now is about cooperation, everyone doing what gives them soul satisfaction, about working for the highest good, working for nature, for animals, for children, and helping people beyond themselves. And that new paradigm is now coming in very quickly because the dinosaur businesses are already collapsing. Look at the holes in the high street. Look at what's happening to the banks. This is an ongoing process. Unless they change quite dramatically, they will no longer be on Earth because we can't sustain that low frequency any longer. As you raise your frequency, then you automatically attract in abundance. You attract in the soul satisfaction of the job that's right for you. And that is the frequency process that we're all going through right now.
Mm. Wow. Totally. You know, this is great, Diana. You know, it's great. I know there's a transition that has to happen, and we're going to get into some of that. I mean, I'm excited because I see a good future ahead. I know there's a lot of trouble in the world, and I don't like to see unrest anywhere. I know, you know, there's still people starving on this planet, like, you know, and I'm a humanitarian, Diana, at the end of the day. If I could help, I will, but I'm in the Western world, and I am in a comfortable state, but I'm not ignorant to the world anymore, you know, and I was ignorant in my youth, and I guess, look, you know, it's different growing up in the Western world, but I have travelled now, not as extensively as I would like, but I've seen second world and third world countries, and, you know, my heart goes out to these guys now, you know, and I would love, you know, I'm not far from being a hippie, but, like, I would like to see utopia.
And, of course, you are making a difference. And while we're in a third dimensional world, then we will have rich and poor, those that have and those who have not. When you move into the fourth dimension, and I think the planet is now tipped into the fourth dimension, people start to open their hearts and go on a spiritual journey. And this is where people are starting to help others. But in the fifth dimension, you're no longer able to tolerate people starving in one part of the world and having too much in another, and you try to make a difference. And so as we become more and more fifth dimensional as a planet, because this is inevitable, we will be doing more to help people in poor countries until by 2032 they will not have this divide of rich and poor.
You talk about the divine feminine in the book, Diana. Tell us about the divine feminine.
Well, the Kundalini of the planet, which is the energy force of the planet, has been masculine for the last many, many years. And then, just before 2012, I think it was 2008 actually, it was taken by the Mayan elders from the Gobi Desert, where it was, to Guatemala, where it became feminine. And so the Kundalini of the planet is now feminine. And so many more feminine beings are coming in to help, like Mother Mary, like the great masters that are female. And they're bringing in love and compassion and cooperation and the energies of wisdom and caring and nurturing, so that there will be more and more of a balance in this direction. There'll be more right brain input in schools, for example. Even now, the children are taught left brain logic. They are not given creative energy. And this needs to be perfectly in balance, so that as the more divine feminine comes in, the more into balance we become. And that's when we become a kind, caring world, where we look after and nurture each other. And so the divine feminine is very, very important at the moment.
Wow. You know, I had another author on talking about the sacred feminine and how we've been in this patriarchal culture for so long, and and the fall of matriarchy into patriarchy. And I think it's an important point that people understand history, and just recent history, and how the patriarchal culture has really just been dogmatic, and that's what I liked. That's what I like about history, Diana, is that history, although it's bogged down with facts and details, we can see it for what it is. And I take lessons from history, Diana, because I see where we're going in the future. I see history as guidance to where we're going in the future, and it's like, I wish everybody was like that, but hopefully we get to that point. Tell us about the 33 cosmic portals, because this is fascinating.
Well, it is, because at the cosmic moment, 33 cosmic portals throughout the planet started to awaken. And 33 is the vibration of the Christ consciousness, the energy of unconditional love. So each of these portals is carrying and spreading unconditional love throughout the planet. So the ones that are number 1, for example, they're listed in the book, carries less, and the one that is 33, which is in the Arctic, carries the most, and then they spread that and other energies throughout the planet. So this is something vast. You can visit these portals in your sleep or in meditation and draw those energies to you that will help you to develop certain qualities. For example, in England, in the UK, I should say, shouldn't I, we have a cosmic portal in York. And it's the whole of the Yorkshire Dales. And it carries the energy of illumination and enlightenment. So if you tune into it, you start drawing to yourself that energy. It's also number 25 of the 33, so it has a high level of cosmic consciousness. And we can bring that Christ energy into us. So those 33 portals are really important. And at the same time, there are 3 other special portals awakening. Stonehenge, which everybody knows, is a very, very important portal. Not only is it one of the 2-way interdimensional portals, but it is just starting to open to its true self. And then you can go there in meditation, and it will take you into a 7th dimensional frequency from which the angels can take you into parts of the universe at a much higher frequency. You'll be able to see everything from a high enlightened perspective. That's the purpose of that one. Yellowstone is the portal for animals. Now, I find this completely fascinating because at the cosmic moment, 58% of animals moved into the 5th dimension, 31% of humans. And they are on their own soul journey. And the way we're treating animals is holding the whole planet back. But this portal in Yellowstone is yellow, the same color exactly as the angel of animals, Archangel Felier, and it is radiating out this energy to help people understand that animals are on their own soul journey, to treat animals with respect and to honor them. It is also sending this energy out to animals so that they can wake up to who they truly are, and it can help them to accelerate their ascension. Because animals are here, many of them stepping into our lives to help us, to guide us, and to help us raise our frequency. For example, cats come from Orion, and the first thing that the priesthood did when Atlantis started to devolve was to send to Orion for more cats to try and hold the energy of the civilization high. So everybody that has a domestic cat, that pet is actually helping to hold the frequency of the household high. And animals like tigers and lions, the big cats, they're the watchers of the planet. They are the ones that are keeping entities away from our planet and protecting us.
Wow, I just had an email, would you believe it, before the show, Diana, an hour before the show, where this really nice lady I'm talking to sent me a picture of a little kitty sitting sleeping on two pairs, and I just really want to get another kitten again because I have a puppy in the house too, so it's difficult. But I love the energy of a cat. It's just different. People say I prefer cats or I prefer dogs, and it's like, there isn't any comparison. They're just different entities. It's like comparing a monkey and a human or something. It's like they're just different entities. It's like why choose, but. That's actually what I remember from your Atlantis book, is you were telling about the servitude of animals and how they incarnated from different star systems. Actually, didn't the Egyptians mummify cats as well? They worshipped cats because they believed they came from Orion.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they did. I don't know much about that, but I imagine that they recognized who they truly were. As beings.
1 million cats mummified in ancient Egyptian times because they deified them because they seen the power of their entities.
Yeah, and cats, of course, are incredibly psychic.
Oh, yeah.
They know absolutely everything that's going on.
Wow. Just on that note, there's something you ever see cats, or even dogs for that matter, but more so cats, they seem to look into thin air like they're seeing things.
Well, I had a very interesting experience with my dog, who is the most gorgeous dog in the whole world. I sometimes disagree with people on this. And she was sitting up on bed, and suddenly she was looking around, and then she ran downstairs. And she'd never done that before, so I followed her down. And we had a spirit dog in the house. And it was leading her a merry dance until we got that dog to pass over. She was escaping and she was being incredibly naughty. But, yeah, it was quite a story in itself.
You mentioned the portal in York. Forgive my left brain questioning now, but in my defence, is this because of York's the centre of Britain? Is it not? And is this like a geographical, geodetic Earth grid system that we're talking about? Are they all equally spaced, these portals, or?
There doesn't seem to be any reason for it. There are quite a few in China and Russia, for example, that are very, very high frequency ones. And there's probably the most important of all is in the center of America. And that's the one that leads into Hollow Earth and is vastly, vastly important. But no, they're just spread out randomly around the planet.
Wow. Do you still do hypnotherapy today?
No. I write books and I go around and give lectures, but that's all.
You must have toured the world many times, Diana, with this experience that you have.
Well, I have been extremely blessed in that I have gone to a lot of places, and I know that I'm always sent where I'm needed, and
Wow.
and that too is really important, to raise the frequency in a place that needs it.
That's a good outlook on it, I have to say. You sound like a very intellectually grounded individual, Diana, who has not just this philosophy to bring to the world, but there's an importance for the teaching that you're doing, Diana.
Well, I think so. I think I am very grounded. As I was saying to you before, I have 7 of my stars in Earth. Mm-hmm. So I really am down here to do the job this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell me about pyramids, because you mentioned pyramids in the book and cosmic pyramids for that matter. But, pyramid building is just something that is fascinating to me because it occurs everywhere on the globe, and yes. we don't really even, I'm talking in our present civilization, we don't even see the connection between them. Well, I do, but there's many out there that, you talk to an Egyptologist today, there's just a coincidence that they appear in all over the other globe, but they seem to ignore this fact, and then they say, this is the dogma of science and history, and they seem to say now that, it's a natural building process that all cultures will tend towards this. And it's like, it's a no-brainer. They all incorporate acoustics and they all incorporate astronomy and they all got a similar design and they're all in special locations. It's like, and they put these ground plans together, to make patterns of the stars and all. It's like, is there something inherent in us that tends towards us? Are we tapping into something here?
Well, I think that in the golden era of Atlantis, they just had this incredible knowledge and this ability to tune into the stars and bring down the wisdom of the stars. And then they learned about the geometric properties, about the spiritual properties of the pyramid shape, because it's all part of the new spiritual technology that's
Mhm.
coming in,
Mhm.
where we will use these shapes and use the symbols, because all of the sacred geometric symbols, they alter the flow of energy. And so a pyramid is a very advanced one that alters the energy so that it can act in different ways. And this is why people are drawn to it, because naturally it's the highest frequency.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to mention too much in the book, but I want to touch on some of the sections, Diana, because I want the people to read your book, which is, by the way, it's birthing a new civilization, the transition to the new golden age in 2032, which kind of says a lot about it. So in terms of the transition period now from 2012 to 2032, this 20-year, you talk about the bees, and people, just from a science perspective, people have no idea how important the bees are. And I have my co-host on the philosophy show that I do later on tonight, Michael. He has a beekeeper, and he loves the bees. And we're in dangerous times with the bees because of the pesticides, and they pretty much proved now that the bees are now forgetting how to get home. So there's a lot of research, because bees they go out from the hive and they come back, and if they get lost, they can't make a home and they'll collapse, and they call these colony collapse syndrome on the bees. And these pesticides that we're using for monocultures, it's not helping, so the bees are incredibly important. But you go into the bees in the book, and let's talk about the bees for a minute.
Okay. Well, the bees originate from the Pleiades, so they carry healing energies. And they came in the era of Golden Atlantis for several purposes. One was to give us honey and teach us about the sweetness of life. It was very much a metaphor. And to pollinate the flowers. But they're also teaching us about aspects of sacred geometry with their hives and the way that they fly, and the way that they live their communities in order and harmony. But they also were very, very important for our survival. And we rely on them. And then, of course, we create these frequencies, like Wi-Fi, that actually block their instincts, their homing instincts that you've described. And this means that they're finding it very difficult to survive. By 2032, we will have changed a lot of those frequencies so that we're using non-harmful ones, because they're interfering with the dolphins and everything, marine life. And but we will still have some of those harmful frequencies even by then, as I understand it. However, there are ways to help the bees, and obviously there are all the physical ways. In my book, I talk a little bit about the connection between the bees and the pixies and the whole of nature. And if you work with the pixies, and to do this, all you have to do is send out a thought of encouragement and thanks and gratitude, then it will strengthen them and their connection with the bees, and that will help everything in nature. It is amazing how we are so connected to nature and how this can change things. I talk in this book and in other books about the transition period, which is going to be the purification of the planet. By 2032, every single part of the planet has to be really pure. Now, if you've ever been to a place in nature, say up in a mountain by a waterfall, that is a beautiful place, it has already been purified, and you come away with your energy feeling very high. I'm sure you've had that experience.
I have had it quite recently in April. I was in Peru, one of the most magical journeys I've ever been on, Diana. Fascinating place. Fascinating.
It is. It's full of darkness and light in Peru. And so the whole planet has got to come to this stage of purification by 2032. So we have purification by water, with all the flooding and the rain, or with fire, or earth, with the earthquakes, the fires taking place, and the wind, the hurricanes. And the elementals of those different elements are working to do the cleansing and clearing. Now, we have a choice. We can either let nature do the cleansing for us, or we can send love and healing into the planet, and that means that it won't have to be done in that way. And we can, every single one of us, make a difference. some years ago we had that big gale in the UK, and that was in 1987. It was in preparation for the harmonic convergence, to do the clearing and cleansing for that. And this man said to me that his two little girls used to go up the hillside, and they had these two special trees that they loved, and they would hug those trees every day. And when we had the gale, every other tree on that hill went, but his two trees were remaining standing. And he said to me, was it the love that we sent them that strengthened them? And I asked, and they said, absolutely yes.
Wow. You know, Diana, this is the time to confess now. Since I came back from Peru in April, I go and hug trees every day, but I put them on my Facebook profile, and so a lot of my listeners will know this. But I mean, I actually do, and it's not a hippie thing. Like, I mean, I actually do just, hug the tree. For me, it's a selfish thing. I mean, I want to feel Earth, and I want to have an appreciation for Earth second to none now, Diana. And I never really had that, and I had a shamanic experience when I was in Peru, which is why this all came about. But I now go and embrace nature, and I was told to do it by the Earth Goddess Gaia, who I met on the journey. But the point was, that she was tough with me, and she said, you do all this stuff, and you're so intelligent, and but you don't appreciate nature. And you need to go and just get out there and do it. And I go for walks in the forest. I'm in the middle of an 18-acre forest, Diana.
Oh, how lovely!
Oh, with rivers, and I have I overlook the top of Ireland, out past it. It's absolutely dreamy where I live. It's a little cold, okay, but the point is, I am going out and embrace nature. I couldn't care what people think of me. I'll go and embrace nature, and the people love me for it now, because they just wait on the next picture coming through of me just doing my thing. But the thing is, I think connecting with nature is a massive thing for anybody.
It's very important. It is the future of the planet. Until we really start to appreciate nature, we can't move forward properly. And when we work with the trees, because they are sentient beings in their own right, they hold a great deal of wisdom, they connect also with information from other star systems and hold that until we're ready for it. If you walk in a pine forest, it brings your frequency into the fifth dimension. They heal you as you walk in the woods. The trees are massive healers. Each tree brings its own different quality, and so if you lean against a beech tree, it will help you with forgiveness, for example. But we can also send energy to the trees and bless them before a storm, for example. Now, recently we had a big gale, and on the morning that it was forecast, I went round the trees in my garden, and I touched each tree and thanked it and blessed it. I walked round the outside of my local forest, and as I walked, I just sent love and blessing to all the trees. Now, fascinatingly enough, this side of the village, in my forest, there wasn't a single tree down. On the other side of the village, a lot of trees down, a lot of fences down, great deal of damage. And one or two people doing this around in different places, and you can do it remotely. You don't even have to be there. You can send that love to different forests, to the oceans, to whatever, to calm things down.
Now, that's what I call harmony, Diana. That's harmony right there, what you described. Wow. Wow, so beautiful, so beautiful. Okay, Diana, you're talking about the transition period, and one thing that comes up is population. Now, obviously, we're at over 7 billion now, 7 billion people on the planet. Population is the big one, I suppose, in terms of change or transition or whatever, because there's a lot of people. I mean, if you want to even talk statistics, I mean, there's a lot of those 7 billion don't even have clean water, and what's the transition for the population, and whether, and maybe tie it in with energy, and I mean, electricity and water. I mean, there's a lot of people without it. I mean, so. And
we are so incredibly dependent on it in the West.
I know, it's it is a dependency. It's when people talk about something that comes in, like a comet came in, and we lost our electrical grid, what damage that could do to us, because we're all using it for refrigeration, and the food stocks would go, and you'd be people would descend into chaos overnight. And that's something I suppose I've learned to do, is be more sustainable and more independent, and whether that's either an energy network or fresh bottled water. And I do keep supplies in the house, and I suppose that's one thing, I suppose. But what's the transition for the population? Is our population going to dwindle in numbers or increase?
At the moment, there are 7 billion souls on the planet. And the reason for this is that anybody who's ever had karma here has been granted permission to come back and see if they can clear that karma with Earth for all time. And so all of those souls have come back. Many, many souls have come in because they want to be here to help with this extraordinary opportunity, the greatest opportunity there's ever been in the entire history of the planet. Although it's very tough, this is the time for your soul to grow if you handle it correctly. So again, millions and millions have come in for that experience. And then huge numbers of very wise old souls have incarnated to help the planet forward. So a lot of these babies coming in, they're either wise old souls from this planet or from other universes or other planes. And they're coming in to bring new perspectives, new ideas on healing, new ways of bringing in spiritual technology. And so that all of these people now have been invited here by Lady Gaia to help with this transition. However, many will have touched the earth and done what they came to do, and they and their entire family will leave together. This is possibly where they go in a disaster or something like that, but that is their sole choice. And many, many people will leave before 2032, so that there will be a much smaller population by then, so that we'll be able to build new communities, new golden cities, called golden cities because they have a golden aura, and we'll be able to build them in a much more spacious, gracious way.
Wow. Okay, so you talk about a lot of changes for countries in the book, and forecasts and specific. Obviously, I'm in Northern Ireland where I'm at. We're at the opposite ends of the UK. We're still on the same domain here, but I mean, I suppose, as you mentioned in the book, Northern Ireland or Ireland for that matter. I'm from a mixed family in Northern Ireland anyway, but we've seen a lot of trouble and strife in our time here, and it's despicable that it's gone on or happened. And, history is a horrible thing if you look at it that way. But we've had peace here, and I think it's a very successful peace so far. And it's a great time. It's pretty much why I have a different accent to my friends here, because I grew up outside Northern Ireland because my parents they fled and they didn't want to rear me into troubles. And I've come back home. I spent a lot of time in the UK. I've been all over the British Isles, really. But I'm back home here in Northern Ireland now, and I like the place. I mean, it's lovely where I'm at. But I mean, forecast for Ireland or Northern Ireland, maybe just throw that one into the mix, since that I'm here, Diana.
Okay, it's a country where there are a lot of very warm-hearted and welcoming people. If you go to Ireland, you can feel this immediately. And this is a really special quality that enables them to hold a lot of light and to spread a lot of light. On the other side, there is a lot of anger and fear still in Ireland. Some of this is from ancient karma with England, and that's beginning to dissolve now. The energy of 2012 has shifted a lot of that. And so the violence we're seeing now is a lot of the last bit of that, the last resistance. And there is a huge amount of magic in Ireland. It's an area of leprechauns and unicorns and angels and elementals of all kinds. There are many, many sacred stone circles of very special places in the earth that hold the magic of the earth. Now, this is all contributing to Ireland moving forward into a beautiful, beautiful energy by 2032.
Wow. It's funny you say that. Everybody that comes here, they feel so energized by the place, and it is very romantic in a way. Ireland is just too aesthetically. I mean, everybody comes here, they can't believe how green the grass is, and it's also to do with the amount of rain that we have. But
that rain has cleansed. Don't forget, water has this incredible cleansing property. It carries love, and so throughout the universes, there is water, even if it's in the atmosphere, carrying love and spreading it around the world and spreading it everywhere.
Yeah, and it's like all the megaliths that we have here, and I'm mad about megaliths in Stonehenge or Newgrange or Scottish ones for that too, Callanish, and I've had the pleasure of seeing that. And was the megaliths, I suppose, Diana, was that an attempt to tap into this old source of energy?
Well, there are a lot of these like powerful stone circles, the megaliths that you're talking about, and sacred sites. And they all hold ancient secrets and ancient mystic magic. And they're now starting to open up. And they'll be releasing this high-frequency energy and information that we haven't been in touch with to the areas around. And people will start picking that up and waking up. Now, we've been talking about Ireland, but this is particularly important in China. Because throughout China, every single sacred site and portal has been closed. And now the energy coming in 2012 is waking them up. And this means that people who have been told there's no such thing as angels, no, when you die you're gone, there's no such thing as a spirit, are going to start seeing them. And then that's going to make a whole different feeling to their understanding. It's going to shift them.
Okay, so I suppose then we're talking different countries, Diana, and you cover a lot in the book. What's surprising for you, or what do you see any country standing out in terms of what you think the listeners might think is surprising or different or maybe not foreseen? Or
well, I would say that perhaps the one that's going to be one of the last ones to move into peace and alignment and harmony is Afghanistan. Now, Afghanistan is the third eye of the planet, and as soon as enough people open and clarify their third eyes, which is about abundance, it's about the removing of the veils of illusion, when that happens, then of course Afghanistan, the third eye of the planet, will automatically come into its power and its peace. Because we are intimately connected with the planet.
Sure, for sure. In the back of the book, you have a section for orbs, Diana. And for me, I have never, ever photographed orbs my entire life. All my times doing photography until I went to Peru, and I was in this shamanic setting, and there was a few photographs taken, and all of a sudden I was surrounded by orbs. Like I was. For me, obviously, Mr. Engineer just gets a bit shocked when he sees. Although I'm very open to this stuff, Diana, and it's good for me. I kind of still get taken aback by it as Mr. Left Brain kicks in. But and I had watched as well. The funny thing is, the week before I had watched, before I went to Peru, I had watched this short documentary by a singer called Maya, who's documented the orbs following her and all these concerts she went around the world, and she was able to tell that the same orbs were following her, because the structure inside the orbs that she photographed was unique and was the same orb that followed her at different conferences. So I guess maybe for the listeners to explain what orbs are these like soul energy portals or?
No, okay. I've written 2 books on orbs, Enlightenment Through Orbs and Ascension Through Orbs. And they're both full of orb pictures as well. And the orbs, what we were told were that when the angels have said for a long time that they wanted to give people proof of their presence. And so what they did was they talked to the scientists who were creating cameras, digital cameras, and persuaded them, obviously they weren't aware of it, persuaded them to create pictures that could be taken at a particular frequency that the angels could bring their energy down to. So the orb is a 6th dimensional frequency of an angelic being. And so they bring their energy down to that level. If you've raised your frequency, as you clearly did when you were in Peru at that moment, to the level of the angels that are coming in, then you can take that orb photograph. It will impress itself into the film.
Wow.
And you can tell which orbs are which. For example, Archangel Gabriel is white, but it has a ring around its rim. So you can always tell Archangel Gabriel. Michael is blue, Raphael is green, and you can see them the colours quite clearly in the orbs. And you can also see how they carry spirits and how they come and collect them. And if you had a whole lot of orbs, you would have been taking a portal. And that's a high-frequency place where the angels come to collect people who are passing over. The angels also have taken the person passing over, are also coming there. The angels are bringing spirits of loved ones to meet them. And you can see all of this in the orb photograph.
You're such a fascinating lady, Diana, and you're such a wealth of information. We're coming up to the top of the hour. I want to talk about, your website is dianacooper.com. People can follow you there and find your links. Have you got conferences coming up? What's new for you in the new year?
Oh, not much in the UK. I will be at Mind, Body, Spirit, but before that I'm in Finland. I'm doing an intensive weekend in Malta. I'm in Zurich. I'm mostly abroad. I'm in South Africa. And but I will be at Mind, Body, Spirit, and I have got a very special day in London in June where I'm launching my new book, which is Diary of Venus, the Diary of a Puppy and Her Angel. And it's absolutely charming and delightful about my puppy.
Well, keep me posted on the London venue, and I'll share that on the page. I also might be over for that. I go to London once a month on average, but that's really...
that would be lovely to see you.
Yeah, it's actually, well, I have an airport that flies for good value of money. It's easier for me than to go to the other end of Ireland than to go to London instead. But are you going to be in Ireland at any point?
I haven't. Nobody's asked me to come to Ireland recently.
Shame on them. Okay, we'll start working on that, Diana.
I love Ireland.
It was about fear. That's what it was. I mean, if there's listeners out there and they are trapped, I kind of keep it listener based sometimes, Diana. If there's somebody out there and they feel trapped in fear, as I had done when I was growing up. I mean, fear paralyzed me when I was a kid, Diana. I was very negative young fella, and I was and it was always fear based, and I didn't even know what fear was. I suppose education is a good thing. Education is a good thing, but for those that feel like fear is a trapping force, or
well, a lot of the fears people have now are held in the lower chakras, the base, the sacral, and the navel, and they're the survival fears and the sexuality fears. And if you call in Archangel Gabriel, the pure white angel who is in charge of those three chakras, who will help you with those fears, just ask him to give you clarity, to help you to purify and clear out those old energies.
Wow. Fascinating. When are you in Malta? I'm in Malta around April, or end of March, April, I think.
Really?
I have a tour there. I'm going to the ancient temples, but I was just wondering, are you in Malta? Because I might actually, if you're speaking there, I might be able to tie in with that if it's around.
That's fantastic. It's all on my website in Diana's Diary.
Yep.
All the dates and where I am.
Wow, fantastic. Wow. Well, I'll check that out. Yeah, Malta's not too far a hop for me as well, because I got a Ryanair airport right beside me, and
Oh, you're lucky, yes.
Well, I have. It's actually 3 miles from the door, Diana.
Oh, right.
I could actually walk to the airport if I wanted. That's why I say it's so easy for me to go to London than it is anywhere else in Ireland. But wow, what a fascinating discussion. We're at the top of the hour, Diana. I'm keen to see what's going on next year with yourself, and you've got a great website there as well, dianacooper.com, and there's a wealth of information there. And should I also say the Ascension cards are a necessity? I think they're fantastic, and
yes, people love them.
Yeah, they're quite a success, aren't they?
Mhm. People love the Ascension cards and the Angel cards.
Yeah, I recommend people to get it and get a copy. And if you haven't, is the Atlantis book still in print? Is that still successful?
Oh yeah. All my books are still in print.
Yeah, wow. Well, I really fell in love with that book, and that was an eye opener for me. And it's a different way to look at Atlantis too. So
there's a lot of information in it.
Diana, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and hopefully I will talk to you in the not too distant future, in next year perhaps.
Yes, hopefully.
Take care.
Good luck. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Was connected to all the centers of every star system, every galaxy, every planet in this universe, and they all swiveled towards Hollow Earth, and started to exchange wisdom and love. And this process for every single one of them to exchange love and wisdom will take 20 years. And when it ends in 2032, the whole of this planet, or the whole universe, will instantly move into the fifth dimension.
Wow. This is wonderful, Diana. You know, I love your work, by the way. And well, last time we spoke, I told you that. But for the listeners, you know, the first book I come across was Discover Atlantis. And I told you, psychic nearby had introduced me to your work. And you know what was different for me, Diana? And I do want to get a little bit about your background too. But I mean, what was different for me was I'm an engineer. I'm looking at Atlantis from a lost civilization perspective. I'm looking for mysteries. I'm looking for history. The stereotypical male brain looking at timelines and histories, and not necessarily dogmatic because I'm pretty open to a lot of things. And but the thing was, I've always been looking at Atlantis in terms of a physical thing, and I'm not really. I kind of what was good about your book, and I think you co-authored it with Sharon Hutton. But I think the beautiful thing was, you know, that I got this different perspective, this more an intuitive perspective, more channeling and
well, it's been much more dramatic than I expected, but it was a hugely significant etheric time with spiritual happenings, because 2012 itself, the cosmic moment, that was a moment when source energy touched the heart centers of every single sentient being on this planet, in this universe, throughout all 12 universes. So it was an awesome opportunity that was offered. It was only for a fraction of a second, but it opened people up to higher possibilities. And just before that, the unicorns had come in and touched everybody's crown centers, opening them up to be available to the transcendent energies of the higher chakras. So enormous things happened as a result of that, because, as I'm sure you all know, the 12 fifth dimensional chakras of the planet all opened at that moment. So the Kundalini started to rise. And again, this started something in motion that was tremendous. The 20-year process of the chakras opening and connecting to the stars so that the stellar wisdom could come into those places and the people on the planet. It also allowed for the great pyramid in Hollow Earth, which is the seventh dimensional chakra in the center of the planet, to be opened up. And as the Kundalini rose, that pyramid, well, Discover Atlantis is about the golden age, the golden era of Atlantis. Now, Atlantis itself lasted for 260,000 years, which is an entire cosmic era. And of that period, only 1,500 years was the golden age. So a very, very short period. And there were 5 experiments, and each time the experiment failed, usually because those who set it up, the Intergalactic Council, gave the people on Earth too much. And when they had too much, they just trashed it. And the final experiment only turned into the golden age when they were given nothing. The only way they could succeed was to cooperate, to work together for the highest good. And that's what spawned the golden era. And it's a lesson for all of us. And then when they reached the pinnacle, they decided, one magi decided he wanted personal power. And at that instant, everything started to devolve. And the higher energies that were there, the unicorns and all the higher archangels and great beings of light, they had to withdraw. And then we devolved for 10,000 years until now, once again, we are starting to move. The experiment of Atlantis ended at the cosmic moment last year. We now have this 20-year period.
Hi everybody, and welcome once again to Capricorn Radio. Greetings to everybody around the world at this time of year. I got an interesting show today. I've been quite excited about this one for a few weeks now. We're going to be talking to Diana Cooper. And just before I tell you about Diana, don't forget you can go and check out the archives at jamesswagger.com, or you can go to the dedicated radio page, capricornradio.com. Follow the links there. We're going to have a new web page in the new year, but the same links will apply, capricornradio.com. And we're going to have new live players for the shows. But the links are all the same. You can check out the YouTube channels and the Facebook groups and all the social links as normal. Okay, so let me tell you about Diana Cooper. She is a world-renowned lecturer, healer, and best-selling author of many books, meditation CDs, and sets of cards, including True Angel Stories, The Ascension Cards, The Keys to the Universe with Cassie Crosswell. She's the founder of the Diana Cooper School, a non-profit organization that offers certified spiritual teaching courses throughout the world. You can also check out Diana at her website, dianacooper.com. That's pretty easy, dianacooper.com. And today we're going to talk a bit about Diana's career, but we're also going to talk about her latest book, Birthing a New Civilization, Transition to the New Golden Age in 2032. And I'm excited about this because I'm very intrigued what's going to happen in the next 20 years. I'm in my mid-30s, as most of my listeners will know, and we've just come through an amazing 20 years, really, in terms of knowledge, insight, world politics, changing times nearly on a daily basis, and even in terms of alternative history, my genre that I like to research and write about. I mean, I've just watched the world get involved in history when it's now fashionable to be involved in history. But without further ado, let's bring on our guest for today. Hi, Diana. Welcome to Capricorn Radio.
Hi, it's great to be here and to hear that you're in your mid-30s.
Yeah, I'm only a baby, apparently.
And that the world has moved on so much in the last 20 years. In fact, it's 25 years since the harmonic convergence.
Wow.
And that was the 25-year purification period before 2012. Mm-hmm. And it has made a huge difference to the world. And the last year has also made a massive difference since 2012 started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing, Diana. We really are in changing times, and everything's evolving so quick. And I think people were waiting for this big, magical kind of super event on 2012, and I think it's a bit more subtle. Not necessarily subtle, but I think it's a bit different to what we were.
I never expected anything physical to happen. In fact, it's probably